Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another edition of an Involved Review. I'm your host, James Caleb Kitchens, and as always, I'm joined by none other than straight from the SWN, Caleb Stovall. Welcome.
What's going on, man? And I must apologize to the people right now because if my voice sounds terrible, no, it is not because I was at a wrestling concert or a wrestling show. It was because I was at a metal show. I saw Wage War and Beartooth.
Man, that sounds like I know you've been looking to this forward to this concert for a long time. So you're like just getting back from the venue as we're
Yes,
recording this.
dude, I really am, man. It was nuts. And dude, I got to say this right now. All right. You know, I love professional wrestling, obviously, but my mother was a music teacher. My father, he was in radio. He was more of the like AM talk radio and stuff like that. But I grew up around 95 Rock. So, like,
Right.
music has been a part of my life forever. And one of the things that's even better than live wrestling, in my opinion, is live music. And I got to finally witness that almost after 2 years. And it was incredible. It was amazing to see all those people. Yes, I'm sure there's going to be all those people out there that are like, well, that's a lot of people in a crowded area. Look, okay, I get it. But it was just great to lose yourself for, an hour or two during those bands and stuff like that. Beartooth and Wage War. If you ever get the chance, people, you need to go check those bands out live. They are fucking amazing.
Man, I that sounds incredible, and I know what you mean. I'm somebody who likes to go to conventions, and I got to the great fortune of going to Dragon Con
Yep.
over Labor Day weekend. I mean, it had been since 2019. I went with Joe Brown from Suplexes and Microphones, who's been on the show. And we had an incredible time 2019. He was not able to make it this year, which is unfortunate, but I was able to get the superhero homies to go with me. Both Kevin and Q went, and this was kind of their first real experience with Dragon Con.
Awesome.
Uh, we got to see some Marvel Comics legends. Chris Claremont was there. Q got to sit and talk with him for a little while. They're going to do an episode about it. He was on another planet. I mean, he was just losing his mind. Um, my kind of highlights from the con. Chris Claremont was awesome, but I'm not like a old school like comics big comics reader, you know. So I respect him for like who he is because he's kind of like he's almost on Stan Lee's level, you know. Um, so getting to see him and like hear him talk about things was cool. But the highlights for me, I got to go to not only the Dragon Con wrestling show, which was hosted by DDP, who is like my like childhood favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
I got to see the Viral Pro Wrestling Outbreak champion Wade Adams as Santa go up against the Viral Pro Wrestling, yeah, the Viral Pro Wrestling champion as an elf, and it was fantastic. It was a good show. There was some good stuff that went on there. I actually saw some prospective talent, but I also got to go to DDP's panel. So I just kind of got to sit there like 4 feet from the guy and listen to him talk about the last 30 years of his life and pro wrestling and all sorts of stuff. So that was amazing. We got to meet the cast of The Boys,
Oh,
which was
nice.
incredible. Yeah, so uh, Carl Urban and Jack Quaid, who plays uh, Butcher and Huey, they were there last in 2019, and Q and I got to get a photo with the two of them, and they were very cool. But pretty much the whole rest of the cast, Frenchie, MM, Maeve, A Train, um, all of them, Kamiko, all of them were there, and they are hilarious. The cast of that show, I mean, they're just as outrageous off screen as they are on screen.
Nice.
So I got a few. I'll have to tell you some of this stuff off mic because both DDP and the actress that plays Maeve, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Both of them kind of dropped some spoilers that are not supposed to be public knowledge.
Really?
Yeah, so Well, fuck it. They said it at Dragon Con. That shit's recorded. So Maeve kind of spoiled that a season 4 of The Boys is already being written and like, or already has been written and it's already confirmed.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's not public knowledge yet, but she kind of let it slip, and they tried to cover it up. She was so the moderator was like, she started talking about season 4, and the moderator was like, "Does that mean there's a season 4?" And she immediately was like, she was like, I don't know anything." And then another thing that happened, and if I'm going to get in trouble for anything, it'll be this. So during DDP's panel, he was like, somebody asked him about Rick, and he was like, "Yeah, Rick. I'm really glad he's with AEW now. You know, they got him under contract, and you know
What?
he's gonna make some good money over there. Yeah." And then somebody was like, "Is that a spoiler?" And he was like, "Oh shit, fuck it."
Well, he's not under contract with them, so he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I was like, everybody in the room was just like. But one more thing I'll drop before we get into the main course here.
Okay.
Um, you know, speaking of like that sort of thing, you know, he told some incredible stories, but one of the things from the panel that was really cool was about the third time DDP dropped the F bomb during the panel. The panel was at 10 a.m., right? So Dragon Con, it's usually like after 10 p.m. you can say and do whatever you want. It's adults only at that point. But this was like 10 a.m. This is the first panel in the damn morning, okay?
Okay.
And he's F this, F that. Finally, the like Dragon Con person who, you know, they're just assigned a room. They don't really know anything about the person.
Right.
The Dragon Con person, she gets on the mic, she's all meek and she's like, uh I I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to say this is a family friendly thing, so can we tone it down a little bit? And DDP's like, are there kids in here? I looked around. I don't see any kids in here. And she goes, well, there were some, but they left. And 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 this is already after DDP has dropped a couple F bombs. He's talked about the Chris Benoit suicide. He's talked about Daphne. All of this like
Ooh.
really sad shit. And he goes, he just after she said that, he's just like, fuck him, and he keeps going. But yeah, you know, on that point, I will say that the whole Daphne situation
Yeah.
is terrible, and you know I don't want to bring the episode down. We're on a high note, but this is the first time we've recorded since everything happened. I was kind of following along with that stuff
Yeah.
as it was taking place, and the very next day we were all at Dragon Con, and DDP talked about how he got a call and was trying to go and find her, but he didn't know where she lived.
Yeah.
And by the time he got there, the family was already there and everything. But yeah, our hearts definitely go out to her family and friends. I know a lot of people in the Indies that interacted with her, and nobody had anything but really positive stuff to say about her anytime I've ever heard her mentioned.
Yeah, she never really got a fair shake in the business, in my opinion. She obviously was a great person to have in the locker room, as you can tell by just all of the people outpouring and stuff like that. And it's one of those things, man, where it raises that conversation about mental health. There's still a lot of things people just we don't know about, or we don't want to know about mental health. It's funny that I saw Beartooth tonight. A lot of his songs, Caleb Shomo, yes, his name is Caleb. Um,
Great. All we need is a third one.
I know, right? But he writes a lot of Beartooth songs. In fact, he writes all of it. He even records it, and um, he writes a lot about his mental health issues. In fact, there's one specific called "The Lines," where literally, it talks about, when I tell you I'll be fine, I just want you by my side. Please just try to read between the lines and stuff like that. And that a lot of that made me think of the Daphne situation, kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that outlet, to let stuff go. But we also, like, whenever you have mental health problems and then it's compiled with just a bunch of other stuff that's just out of your control, it does something to you. And I mean, like you said, I hate to bring the show down and everything like that, but it really, really sucks. And it's something that, while it's uncomfortable to talk about and it's really sad, we need to talk about it, because we all need to realize that, like, hey, there are people that are suffering and we need to help them. You don't want that look on your family's face, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, man. I agree entirely. There's just there's a lot, that goes into all of that, and it is something that we all need to be mindful of, because we have too many of these conversations after the fact, after the tragic thing has happened, and this is another instance of that. So, if we could, if we can avoid that in any way, then I'm all for it. So,
Yeah.
that being said, let's turn the page a little bit. Let's get into what you guys came here for. Hopefully, you enjoyed the 11 minutes of us nerding out about random stuff. But here we are. We're gonna nerd out about something else. We're gonna
Our
talk
favorite thing.
about. We're gonna talk about the one, the only, probably the most talked about pay per view in the last. I don't know, what would you say? Probably since WrestleMania 30. Probably the most talked about pay per view since WrestleMania 30. A huge deal. We're talking about AEW's All Out. Before we dig into it, man, I want to kind of do something new here. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Really?
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
So I before we get into it, I want to know, out of 10, what's your rating for All Out?
Um,
I
I
said
mean,
I put you on the spot.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, just because of the way I felt after the pay-per-view. A 10.
Wow.
I'm gonna,
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 10. And here's why I say that, dude. Because at the end of that pay-per-view, it was one of those moments where I didn't hear anyone say, "Oh, well, they should have booked this, that they should have booked that," and I'm sure they're doing that now. But right afterwards, it was kind of like that feeling you got when you left Infinity Wars.
I see that.
It was like you didn't want to critique it. You were just like, I just feel something right now, and that was enough.
I
Like,
I was critiquing it. Trust
I'm
me.
sure you were. I know you were. But I'm just saying, like,
But that's my job. That's my job.
I know, but I was able to, fan out for a little while, and that made me feel good. That's what I've been wanting in wrestling, was just to sit back and enjoy it as a wrestling fan. And so many people in that crowd. I mean, that crowd was on fire the whole night.
I'm gonna, my personal rating, I'm gonna give it an 8.5,
Okay.
and you know,
That's higher
just
than given any other of their pay-per-views.
that's higher than I've given any AEW pay per view. That's higher than I would have given probably any episode of Dynamite. It's higher than I would have given any WWE pay per view in a very long time. Very
Oh,
long time. Maybe WrestleMania 28 era, like a very long time. I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't have even given WrestleMania 30 that, because it was predictable. But this is not about WrestleMania 30. I don't know why I keep bringing it up. But let's get into the actual pay per view. I don't want to really talk about the buy-in, but there is an interesting sort of takeaway from the buy-in. But we'll circle back around to that later. I want to talk about this opener. Um, I'll get the negative out of the way first. I thought it was too long. But other than that, holy shit, this is a great opener.
Yes.
I mean, this is my favorite Miro match ever.
Yeah.
Um, because I think this is the first time he really broke out of that mold that WWE forced him into.
Mm-hmm.
because he is a big he's a big guy, and even whether he does the Russian gimmick or not, he looks like a big Russian guy. Um, and he kind of broke out of that I'm a lumbering guy. Like this was a fight, dude. They both showed their strengths, and I think that this, for people who don't know Eddie Kingston from outside of AEW, this made him
Yes.
for the AEW fans, even though he lost, and that's almost a recurring theme for the night, because WWE is so into the 50-50 booking nonsense where everybody looks bad. But somehow here, everybody looked good. Like Miro looked like $1,000,000 because even though his chest looked like ground beef, he won. He came out on top, still the champion. But Eddie Kingston pushed him to the limit, dude. And
Yeah.
this was storytelling, and it was great storytelling.
Dude, is Eddie Kingston not one of the most like underrated wrestlers in the world?
Oh, I think he's amazing, and the thing about Eddie Kingston that's so good, it's the same thing that's so good about James Drake, and I'll take a quote from him that he uses a lot is, "It's not his job to convince you that wrestling is real. It's his job to convince you that he's real." And
Yep.
Eddie Kingston is fucking real, and he's gonna do that every time.
Yep. Yep. Stone Cold Steve Austin took that approach as well.
That's the thing, man. It's like I know a lot of people that are in the "oh, I don't like wrestling because it's fake" camp, that would still come out of their seat every time Stone Cold was on the television
Yep.
because you believed him. Yeah,
To this day.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I've heard Marks say shit like, "Oh yeah, I mean that shit's fake," but not. I mean, it's not Stone Cold and The Rock though. They were out there beating the shit out of people. They weren't going by the script. All right, cool. That's cool. I'm glad you think that, bro. That's really smart of you.
Yeah. Yeah, Brett. That's but no,
But
dude, it's true. But dude, Miro though, like you said, I mean, he was just so impressive as well. Like I have been so impressed with him. I'm like, what did WWE not see in this guy again?
I mean, probably the same thing they didn't see in Adam fucking Cole.
Apparently,
We'll talk about that, but how
I'm
the fuck?
sure.
Yeah, but I mean, literally, my only complaint about this match, I would have taken 2 minutes off, right? And that's really about it. Like I would have taken 2 minutes off. That's it.
Okay.
Because it was 13 and a half minutes, and I just think, even I know it's a title match, but for an opener, that's long. And I would have maybe tried to get the ball rolling a little bit. Um, let's talk about the next match, man. We are going to disagree about this. I can go ahead and tell you now, but John Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima. This match did nothing for me.
Well, no. I'll agree with you actually on that. That wasn't. I was not a fan of the match. I was a fan though of what happened afterwards.
Well, Moxley looked like he was fucking asleep during this match.
He might have been.
Like, I really think, honestly, outside of this, I think he's bored, dude. I think he wants to go have death matches with Nick Gage and shit, and I think he's just bored. He came out in the GCW jacket, which I mean, I get what he was trying to do, but I consider that disrespectful to AEW, because it's like these guys have given you the biggest platform you've had, arguably since you were in the Shield, and even then you had to share that platform. But I mean, Moxley's his own guy in AEW. They let him do his own thing, and they let him go other places. So to me, wearing that GCW hoodie out there is like, yeah, it's almost like saying, "Hey, this is what I'll work for AEW, but this is where my heart truly lies, is with GCW." And if that's the case, bro, there's too much talent in AEW. Get the fuck out. Like, go work for GCW then. That's
But
my stance on it.
and I can see why you say that, but also remember he's now the GCW World Champion.
That's true, but I mean, they didn't acknowledge that. He didn't walk out with the title or anything.
I thought that they did. I thought that they said that he was the GCW champion.
They might have, but he didn't. Like I said, though, he didn't like walk out with the belt or anything.
You well,
I could understand that because Christian Cage came out with the Impact title. If you're a champion somewhere, that's cool. But for you to walk out without a belt and just a hoodie that has the name of the promotion on it, I don't know, man. That to me, it combined with how bored he was during the match. I mean, he was just in slow motion, dude. I thought that Kojima looked great. I thought he was fine, but here's the thing: Kojima's there to put Moxley over. Kojima's not coming back.
yeah.
Kojima looked like $1,000,000, but that doesn't do anything for AEW. You know what I'm saying? Unless they're planning on bringing this guy back, it's like, yeah, this dude's a Japanese legend. All right, cool, we get it. He looks great. I thought he did great during the match, but Moxley just looked asleep, dude. And I don't know if you've seen Dynamite or not, but the Suzuki match was ass too. It was terrible.
I did see it. It wasn't the best. I'll admit that. But it was cool to hear Suzuki's music at the very end because like I just stood up and I was like, no, oh my god, is he coming out now? And I was just like, yes. So that was cool. No, the match did nothing for me. I'll admit that. I think it was just, it was a match to have on there because I think that they had something bigger planned. I think that they wanted Tanahashi, and that keeps falling through.
Right.
Uh, but I do I do kind of agree with you. I think that Moxley really likes the deathmatch stuff a lot. And I think that, he's probably going to be doing a lot more stuff with GCW and everything like that, which is cool with me because, people can say what they want to about GCW, but GCW is on fire right now.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, here's the thing: is like if that's what you want to do, um, you know, by all means, like go do it. But it's just like right now, I feel like there's so much. Like I don't. If he wants to go do all that stuff, I don't think there needs to be, you know, not saying there doesn't need to be a spot for him in AEW, but the spot he has, he doesn't need to keep because there's so many people in line now.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll agree with that.
and you know, we can talk about this now with all the signings and stuff that are going on. I mean, the main thing in the back of my mind is already like, okay, I love the signings, especially the ones we got later tonight, which we'll talk about. But it's like, okay, you're bringing in all these guys, and you're bringing them in at a upper mid card to main event level, right? Like CM Punk is obviously right now anything he does is the main event. I don't give a fuck what the match order is.
No, I agree.
Um, there's a reason I have him and Darby there at the top. Like we'll get to that in a minute. Uh, there's but it's like okay, Adam Page. I mean, basically, his whatever storyline that I know, all the AEW fanboys were going on and on and on about. Oh, it's long form storytelling between him and Omega. Blah blah. It's fucking not. It's over with. I don't care what they do with him when he comes back. Like the Adam Page angle is yesteryear's news. It's done. He's done. Like
Well,
he'll come back and be good. Don't get me wrong. But like what they were doing with him is over with. And like Jungle Boy, I mean Jurassic Express in general, I mean Orange Cassidy, I mean all these guys that were getting all this attention, suddenly they aren't.
and but hey, in some ways, I don't want to say it's a good thing. Like, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is it could make for good competition. It brings the best out in people. It's
I
like,
agree.
we know that like at the end of the home or at the end of the home, at the end of the day, we're both going to go home or we're all going to go home and everything. But we can be competitive out here. We can get a little stiff. We can see who is really good. Let's see who captures the people's attention and stuff like that. And now with crowds out and stuff like that, now you're gonna really see who's over. Like we said, like we've been saying all along. and stuff like that. But let's also not forget that now he has Rampage, he being Tony Khan and AEW. They have Rampage, which is another hour on a show. And then they recently just signed a deal with Universal Studios to have AEW Dark, which I think is brilliant. I
Right.
really do. Like, I always thought with TNA, I was like, that's actually brilliant because you get a really big crowd every time. Like, and it also is great for the tourist attraction with the theme park. It works. It like everyone wins in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think the symbiotic relationship between TNA and Universal was very good for a very long time. I think it's a cool thing. Plus, WWE, when they release you from NXT, you're already in Orlando. You can just go straight on over there and tape Dark. So,
Very
I
true. But
I
I mean,
heard a joke today that because they announced that WWE 2K22 is going to have a GM mode, and it was like you book somebody to win the title, but they leave and go to AEW.
and
So
we're going to talk about the signings coming up that obviously happened on this show. But then apparently there's still maybe more to come.
that's what I'm hearing as well. And I will say this before we move on. I think I really like that Tony Khan is doubling down on the fact that Rampage is not going to be the B show because they continuously are booking these big matches for Rampage, and I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like Rampage is going to be kind of that. It's going to be a solid hour of like wrestling, whereas
Well,
Dynamite's going to have all your promo segments and stuff like that on it for the most part.
and that could be true, but he's even talked about that eventually he does want Rampage to get one more hour, just a second hour.
That worries me.
Good. I mean, not anytime soon.
Yeah,
So
I
we
don't
probably will just keep this format for a while.
I don't want to see it. I don't. I just don't. But okay, let's go on. Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander. I'm a big fan of Chris Statlander. Actually, I think that she's probably the number 3 women's
Boop,
wrestler in AEW.
boop.
Yes, I love the gimmick. Um, this was a good match, dude. Like it was physical. It probably had a couple. It had a couple of little hiccups in it. Um, but I was really physical. I really liked how they went into it. The lockjaw is just one of the most awesome finishers right now.
Yeah, I agree completely. I do have to bring this up real quick. You remember when we saw them in Atlanta?
Yes.
And so Chris Statlander was wrestling that French girl. I can't even remember her name. But she looked like she had on a Dragon Ball Z outfit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, but so we couldn't hear the commentary, obviously, as we were in the crowd. Well, I got back home and I watched the event. There's a moment in there where JR, he's all about this person played at Oklahoma, or this person has a cheerleading background, or this person does this. And so he goes, what's the background on Chris Statlander there, Excalibur? Excalibur, who's going to sell the gimmick, just goes, well, it says in her bio that her spaceship crash landed here around 10,000 years ago or something like that. And JR just goes, all right, that's enough of that. This is like, all right, that's enough of that. I'm sorry I asked.
That was too good. I remember that.
It was tremendous. So that's every time I think of Chris Statlander, I think of that. That's just the greatest thing. But no, dude, she looked good in this matchup, and Britt Baker is showing pretty much why she is the diva. Like she is the divas. She is.
No, don't say
I
it.
I know. I'm not. I'm sorry. I apologize for that, ladies. I really do. The women's division in AEW, she's showing why she is the number 1 female right now.
You know, I really liked I really like this thing she's got going on with the lockjaw because it's almost got this like Bret Hart sort of like heel Bret Hart kind of later in his career, where it
Hmm.
was like he puts you in the sharpshooter, you're fucked. Like I love that sort of thing where somebody builds their reputation around like a submission like that. Kurt Angle did it. Um, Obviously, it's a tribute to both the crossface and the mandible claw, and I just really love it. And it goes with the gimmick, and it's an incredibly devastating move. So yeah, I really like it. Britt Baker has grown on me a lot over the years. Um, the tooth and nail match obviously was like the worst thing ever, but she's redeemed herself
Yeah.
for me. Um, yeah,
Big Swole was the one that got fucked out of that.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think we all kind of knew it was gonna all kind of land on her. But I mean, here's the thing, man. I blame whoever put that fucking match on the pay per view because someone watched that shit and still decided it should go on there.
Yeah, I agree.
So that being said, um, let's go on to this next match, which I feel like you might think that I wasn't gonna like this match, but I really did.
You're
Um,
kidding.
I was prepared to hate it. I was prepared to absolutely hate this match, and I do hate things about it, like when they hit that fucking fantastic destroyer on. I'm not even gonna pretend that I can tell Matt and Nick apart. I can't. I don't fucking know. Okay, I don't care either. But when they hit that Canadian and they didn't go for the pin, I fucking lost. I was like yelling at the television. I was like, "Fucking pin the guy! You just hit him with this big ass fucking flipping power driver." Anyway, the murder Nike, that's dumb to me to an extent, but um, overall, it was. This felt like the old uh, I mean, this felt kind of like the old six sides of steel. Why does that not sound right? What was the TNA match called? Was it Six Sides of Steel? What?
Yeah, the Six Sides of Steel.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it didn't sound right when I actually said it. But this felt like some of the old like Six Sides of Steel kind of spot fest bloodbaths that we used to get in Impact back in the day. Um, yeah, I liked it, man. Here's the thing. Was it a fucking spot fest? Yes. Were there things I didn't like in it? Yes. But at the end of the day, the excitement of the crowd, they were all for it. It kept going further and further and further. It While there were a few times when they didn't go for the pin on some things, it never felt like these guys are just doing moves to just do fucking moves. Um, and even if they did, it wasn't bad enough to take me out of the match.
Nice. I mean, because I loved it. I thought it was exciting as hell and shit like that. I mean, the Lucha Brothers, I think, have redeemed themselves now
Yeah,
because I was, I thought it was going to be Jurassic Express. That was who I thought was going to do it. And then apparently they did a 180 and the Lucha Brothers did it. But I've always liked the Lucha Brothers.
here's my thing though. I never want to see this match again. Like I never want to. I don't for like I. They need to go like 2 years. I don't want to see the fucking Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers again. I feel like I've seen it 100 times.
Well, yeah, and you probably won't see it for a good minute.
I don't want to because I think the Young Bucks need to be out of the tag division, like out of the titles for a while. That they need to be out of the running for the belts. Jurassic Express should have been in this match. I feel like, while I think the Lucha Brothers deserve a run with the tag belts, I just feel I can't help but feeling like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are gonna get fucked in all of this because they're not gonna face the
Yeah.
Lucha Brothers because the Lucha Brothers are over to the goddamn moon now. So there's going to have to be another heel team to take it off of them before Jurassic Express is going to get a chance.
Yeah. And that team could be the revival.
It could be. It
Team
definitely could be. Yeah, it definitely could be. Although, we'll kind of see where that goes, but it definitely could be. I don't want it to be the goddamn Good Brothers.
What about Santana and Ortiz?
That I would take, but they're pretty over his faces too.
That's true.
So we'll see. I mean, I could definitely see that though. I mean, I would love a Lucha Brothers versus Santana and Ortiz feud. That would be fire. Like, I would love that.
I just want to see one of them kick Ortiz in the face so that I can see him go. It's the greatest sell job of all time.
Yeah, I heard a couple people say this is their favorite match of the show. I actually,
I disagree.
I disagree too. I actually, when I watched this, so I didn't watch it live because I was at Dragon Con. So
Yeah,
when
I
I
didn't watch
got,
it live either.
yeah, I know you watched it like yesterday morning, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
had to because I work.
yeah. So I watched it. I watched it in pieces. So when I first watched it through, I watched the first. I watched the first three matches, and then I skipped this match. I skipped to the end of the battle royal. I saw who won, got pissed, kept going, and then I watched the whole rest of the show. Um, but I went back and watched the rest of it that I skipped through, and I was pleasantly surprised by this match because this match I did not want to see it at all. I didn't care, but I thought that they went out there and absolutely killed it. This is probably the best Young Bucks match in AEW.
That's mind blowing to me because, like, I'm sitting there watching it. I'm going, all right, well, I'm going to hear about this on the podcast and shit like that. And then now I'm like, okay. I'll,
Well, well, there were things I didn't like, but at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, I think the murder Nike is done. Um, there were a couple times where there'd be a huge spot, and they wouldn't go for the pin or whatever. But there were not a lot of big, botches or anything like that. I kind of liked the whole like them doing the super kicks around in the circle and then the forearms and all that. Like, I liked that stuff. Um, a lot of the spots were good. There wasn't a lot of, oh, we're gonna set this spot up for like 5 minutes and then it's not that impressive. Um, I didn't think that they overly used the cage, but I didn't think they underused it. That was a weird cage. It was like a mini Hell in a Cell because there was like room
yeah.
around the outside. I mean, not like a lot, but I mean, there was room for a person to stand. Like the cage went all the way to the floor, and there was a little bit of a gap there. It wasn't like your traditional steel cage match where it just goes to the ring apron.
Maybe they wanted that because they knew like those guys were going to be using the ropes and stuff like that to bounce off.
It was cool, man. I liked it. You know, I'm just glad it wasn't like I hate escape cages. I think that's the dumbest
I think so
thing.
too.
Like the only time I think that's okay is if you do like escape pin or submission, right? Because the babyface should be trying to go for a pin or submission, and the heel should be trying to escape. An
Yeah.
escape cage where the babyface wins is just the most stupid shit. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
and like an escape only cage, fuck that. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I there were things I didn't like about this. I typically am not a huge fan of Spot Fest, but this was done well. This was way more TLC and way less whatever the fuck they usually do. Like when they did like Paige and Omega versus the Young Bucks, that was literally just four people doing moves to each other for 30 minutes. I was bored out of my mind. But I loved this. And it may just be because the Lucha Brothers are very intense. I like the way they move. They have a very nice just kind of rhythm to their stuff. And I just and the Lucha Brothers do also they tend to botch a good bit in their matches, but that was way under control in this. They were all out there. They gave it their all. It was a bloodbath. I was in for it.
Yeah. Nothing more I can add to that. That pretty much sums up my thoughts. I love the matchup just because I loved how much the crowd was into it and everything. Um, I like the fact that they have taken the people that the wrestling fans clearly do not like right now, and they actually make them heels.
Right? Imagine that.
like people don't like the Young Bucks, so they're like, all right, well, let's not try to make them faces anymore. Let them be heels. Let them be who they were beforehand. Let Kenny Omega be a heel and shit like that, and works.
Right. Right.
But but if you're in WWE, the people that you clearly want to root for, they're like, nope, they have to be a heel, and this guy has to be a face that I don't give two craps about.
Right. Because they're not booking for an audience.
Exactly.
Um, man, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this next one. So we have the 21 woman casino battle royal for a future
What?
AEW
I take the lead on it. I
because I don't have anything positive to say. So
mean, is it wrong to say that I fast forward through this because I didn't care?
yeah, I did too.
I knew who showed up, and I think that that's pretty cool because
I
I think she's pretty good.
I didn't I didn't I stayed off the internet and didn't get spoiled on anything. Right.
Right.
I popped a little bit when she came out, but I thought it was predictable because it was one of those things that was heavily rumored, right?
Yeah.
Um, but also it's like I can't call this predictable if I went out and read the dirt sheets. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
it and that was something I saw from a lot of fans on like Twitter and stuff. I saw people, oh, well, this was predictable, blah blah blah. Well, it's predictable if you read the fucking dirt sheets. If I go on comicbook.com and read everything that happens in Shang-Chi, and then I go watch the movie, and then I'm like, oh, well, I knew all this stuff was going to happen, then that's my fault.
Yeah.
By the
I,
way, fantastic film. Not a sponsor, not the topic. Um,
oh, you did see it.
yes, yes, I did, and it was
Okay.
fan fucking tastic. I went and saw it on Monday.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, here's my thing. When she came out and got the reaction that she got, I was like, "That's cool. She
Yeah.
better not fucking win, bro." I am more angry about this than anything else on this event.
I know
Like,
because when her damn feet hit the floor, I was like, I already know I'm gonna hear about that one.
here's my
I was
problem with this.
angry.
Does this not scream that being mediocre in WWE is worth more than being the absolute best women's wrestler to never go there? Isn't
Yeah,
that what this says?
yeah, I guess so. I mean, I thought it was cool that she got the reaction that she did. That
Oh,
was all.
me too.
After that, I was like, I'm good. All right, I don't care. Sorry, ladies, I just didn't.
I just Thunder Rosa is the best person in this match by a long shot.
Yes.
And pretending that Ruby Soho is on her level is a fucking joke. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, there's an element of this that I understand from a business standpoint. And, to an extent, I am couch booking this. But at the same time, I'm just like, you guys are, like, Ruby is going to be fine. You only have one chance to really push Thunder. She already made an amazing first impression. So what are they going to do with her now? And I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I mean, because she pretty much needs to be the face other than Britt Baker because you can look at the two of them and say, we made those.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas Ruby Soho can't really say that.
Yeah. And I mean, now, can you take the title off of her and then have Thunder come up and challenge for it? Sure. But I just don't. I mean,
Well,
that's fine. But we'll see
yeah,
what happens.
I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens with it. But either way, I was kind of like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I was fine with the concept. I was not. I mean, I was surprised that they could find 21 women that could come out there and have a match.
A lot of
Uh,
those were from that NWA women's pay per view.
yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like the AEW, like their women's division is the biggest problem. Like WWE and Impact both have better women's divisions.
Yes.
Not
I
for long though, because I think that we will eventually see Charlotte in AEW.
So okay, if that happens, what would you say then? Because
I would fast forward through that shit because I don't like her at all.
yes,
And they will pay her a shitload and they will put her over.
well, kind of have to.
Right.
I
I
mean,
mean,
let's be honest. You can hate her, but she is a huge star. Not in your eyes. I get it.
I get that she is a star, but she's also a star in the same way that like Roman Reigns is a star. Vince forced her to be a star. Like if her last name wasn't Flair, we never would have heard of her.
I get it.
And I
Yeah.
stand by that. But I get it. I mean, I'm not saying. Here's the thing, man. I don't think that they will make the same mistake as WWE. I don't think they're going to come in and have her just demolish everybody and whatnot. I just don't see that happening. Um, but we'll see. Would I like a Thunder Rosa versus Charlotte Flair match? You fucking right, I would.
Hell yeah.
But I would much rather see like a Sasha Banks and Thunder Rosa match. That, oh my god. Anyway, I can't think about that. We have to make it through this podcast.
Yeah.
Uh, so so before we keep going, so I think these first 5 matches, to me, this felt like it's almost like I think this pay per view is a transition of AEW into what it started as into what it is now. And I would consider these first 5 matches to be the last 5 matches of the old AEW. And I think that the new AEW starts with the next match. Because the whole rest of this pay per view, from this moment on,
Is
from the
incredible.
from the end of that battle royal forward, is fucking incredible. If I have to rate just the last 4, that's a 10 for me.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Um, Chris Jericho and MJF went 20 minutes, and I was entertained the entire time, and that does not happen with me a lot anymore.
I was about to say, I was like, this match was long as shit, but it was amazing. Like Jericho showed why he is still the GOAT.
This is his best match in a long time, and you could tell he was in the gym too, dude, because he looked good.
Yes, he looked good. He was able to keep up with MJF. And MJF, man, oh my God. I have got to see MJF versus Punk eventually.
Yes, yes, God, yes. I mean, dude, MJF is so good. I mean, he's just good, and you know
Because
this.
then he's just like Eddie Kingston. I didn't mean to cut you off, by the way, but
No, go
he's
ahead.
Eddie Kingston. He's like, he ain't trying to convince people that wrestling is real. He's trying to make everyone think that he is legit an asshole, and he doesn't have to work too hard at it.
I think he is legitimately a real piece of shit. Like,
I'm
there,
sure he
there's
is.
no way you act like an asshole that well. I mean, it's possible, right? Like the actor that played Joffrey in Game of Thrones is apparently like the sweetest dude ever, but like, fucking A, man. MJF, like, I've met the dude in person, and he's kind of a dick. Like, he wasn't like a dick to me, but you could just, he just has one of those faces and one of those voices that just, you just want to, you know, you just want to beat the shit out of the guy.
Yeah, but
He's just great at it. And it's good to see somebody being a complete heel in this day and age because you don't see him taking photos with fans and kissing babies and fucking liking fucking random bullshit tweets. He just doesn't do any of that shit.
no, in fact, he pisses people off with his tweets.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I mean, dude, he's gonna make a bunch of money in this business being that. Like, I mean, he is to me, he should I think even more than Omega in the Elite, although I see why they are the big heels right now. But he eventually needs to be just the main heel.
I agree. And I honestly think that if Vince could get anybody on this damn roster, it probably would be him.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, putting him through the WWE machine would tone him down to the point where he would still thrive over there, but it would not be what we get here because he would be censored and, you know,
He
have
would be
his.
censored, and I guarantee you they would try to make him a manager.
Yeah, probably, which is what they try to do with fucking Adam Cole. Which,
I heard
anyway,
that. I was like, what?
yeah. I loved the finish on this. I liked that they kind of did a riff on the Dusty finish. Um, it was good. If I could have changed any one thing about this match, I would have had him lock in the Lion Tamer at the end.
Yeah.
I was sitting there just like from a fanboy perspective, like put the knee on his head, put the knee on his fucking head, you know. Um, that's like such a minor little thing. I loved MJF's entrance. That was fucking brilliant.
It was.
I'm all about a damn entrance,
Yep.
and he fucking nailed it. As soon as the countdown came up, I said, if this is Jericho, that's awesome. But if it's MJF, that's even better.
And when MJF walked out, like when I saw him walk out, I was like, James just lost it.
I did. When it popped up Jericho's last match, I had already lost it
Yep.
because they did that entrance perfectly.
Yes, they did. It was tremendous.
So I know we all want to talk about this one, the next match. Um, this is the best match in AEW history to me. It is possibly the best match I've seen since Shawn and Undertaker at 25.
Really?
Yeah.
That good? I knew it was good, but that good?
Yeah, I loved this match. I watched it 3 times. I've watched it 3 times.
Dude, did he not come out there and just shut everyone up and say, "Hey, I still got it"?
Here's the thing: is you could tell he was rusty,
You
but
could.
that it didn't take away from the match.
No.
And here's the thing, man: is I try not to do this, but I listened to Cornette's review of this match, just this match, not the whole
Oh,
event, because
God.
I didn't want to get no. Cornette loved it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I
He's
agreed with him on a yeah, I agreed with him on a lot of stuff. It's like this match I think made Darby Allin to the people who think he's too small or the people who haven't really gotten into his stuff. Um, first off, when we previewed this, when we talked about it a few weeks ago, I said Punk needs to come out, Darby needs to look incredibly strong, but Punk needs to win. And that's exactly what they did.
Yep.
This is the best match in AEW history, man, to me. Like, and here's the problem too, is this was a wrestling match. They told a story, but the physicality was also there.
Yep.
And even though Darby's a small guy, the thing about it is it's right back to that whole, you might not believe this, but you'll believe in me. Everything he does, he hits hard. When he comes off the top rope and does a flip at somebody, he hits them with all his body weight. He's not sitting there doing a swan dive like, oh, this guy's going to catch me. When he dives out of the ring onto you, he's hitting you with force. He's not
Yeah.
sitting there diving and landing on his feet and pushing you against the rails.
Yes.
Everything he does looks legit. And my favorite spot of the whole match probably was CM Punk sitting up for the coffin drop.
Oh,
I thought that spot was fucking brilliant.
yes, I agree. Real quick, I'm gonna veer off to something because you just mentioned Darby Allin and like when he goes and he hits people and stuff like that. One of the greatest spots I've seen in a long time though was when he was facing that tag team and Sting was on the outside. And one of the guys like walks up to Sting, or they look at Sting, and then like the tag team's just standing there, and the guy's just like, "Oh, you're the real Sting. I'm your biggest fan, man." And then just all of a sudden, Darby just comes and just darts at him. Like that was amazing. But no, dude, they did exactly what you said that they needed to do to a T.
They
I
really
mean,
did.
couldn't have booked it any better with this. Like CM Punk knew what he was doing, Darby knew what he was doing, and everything like that. Did you notice what the internet has obviously picked up? That there was obviously a 1, 2, 3 kid Bret Hart moment in there at the beginning.
Yeah, there's a couple of them actually. They
Yeah.
took a couple things from that match, and I love that they paid homage to that match. I just thought that was really cool.
I mean,
I didn't pick it up because like I wasn't watching that back then, but when I started looking at it, I was like, that's a cool little throwback. And there were people that did pick up on it.
yep.
Obviously, there were a couple of people that were like shitting on it, and I was like, dude, they're obviously just paying tribute to the match. They didn't copy the whole match.
Yeah. They just
Um,
they just like took that one spot because it worked so well.
yeah, and you don't see it a lot. I mean, this is the thing, man. Is these guys they they took they this is the thing, man. If these kind of matches are going to be happening at AEW, everybody else has got to fucking learn how to work. I hate to say that, man, but there's so much in AEW where the people in the ring are relying on the physicality of the match to carry it. These guys brought everything. They
Yep.
brought the storytelling and the physicality. And maybe I would have hated to fucking follow this. Like they were incredibly smart putting Paul White versus fucking QT Marshall. Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Marshall. After this, incredibly brilliant because that's the popcorn match, and they needed something to cool them down. And that match, I think we don't really even need to talk about it like very much. It was a Big Show. It was Big Show's Three Moves of Doom match. It was exactly what they needed. Big
Yeah,
Show
exactly.
came out, got a nice ovation. He beat up the Factory 1, 2, 3. I mean, it was perfect. It was 3 minutes long. If it had been 10 minutes long, it would have been fucking terrible, right?
Right.
But you got to see all of Big Show's crap. He looked good. I don't know if I like this Marriott carpet looking singlet, but whatever. Um, but he looked good. I thought he looked good, and I mean, it was the only way to follow this match was with something like that
Yeah.
because this match was so good. I mean, I could just go on and on about it. I mean, I could spend an hour talking about this match, dissecting it. It was 16 minutes long. It
Well,
felt like it was 4 minutes. I wanted it to go on.
I know, like that's what's so crazy about it too. And dude, the crowd was on. I don't think they sat down once in this matchup. Like I think they were all standing the whole entire match almost.
I mean, I got Rock and Hogan vibes at the beginning
Yep.
because I mean, literally, first 2 minutes they did not shit. They didn't have to do anything. They're both so over, and the crowd is just losing their fucking minds. And you just don't see that anymore. Where
No.
you just have these two guys that can do that. Their presence alone has these people on the edge of their seat, and I loved all of it. Like they took it slow. Like Darby really showed that he is on another level than we thought that he was on previously in this because everything was methodical. Darby's in the corner doing the whole like fucking brooding skater kid thing. CM Punk does this thing where he's gonna sit down. They both get up. I mean, all of this was so methodical. They knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, they were reacting to what was going on in the room. I love the GTS where he falls out of the ring.
Yep.
Um, that was a really cool spot. If I'm gonna critique anything at all, I really don't like the whole I'm gonna lay here until 9 and then magically jump up thing. Like I think around 7 he should have started crawling a little bit, but that's just it's a little minor thing
I
that I
get.
picked up on. And they did that spot twice. Like Jericho and MJF did the same spot um, in the match before. So maybe if I'm gonna pick at something, then that's it. But it's just like if when the match is this good, and like I said, it's there's so many talented guys coming in now that it's like we talked about people earning their spot. It's like you're gonna have to do more than come out and get the crowd to sing your interest music going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And dude, both of these guys did it. Punk showed why he's still at the top of his game, and Darby Allen is showing why he's gonna be an even bigger star. He's
Yeah,
not he's not there yet, but he's going to be an even bigger star. But this match helped made him. Would you say then that this would be a contender for match of the year?
Oh, I don't think it's a contender. No, I think it is the match of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Like not AEW. I'm talking like
Oh, so am
everybody.
I. Yeah. So the fuck am I.
So
I
even beat Sasha and Bianca.
yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
agree.
Now, if that match were to win match of the year, I wouldn't be mad about it. Like I wouldn't be mad about Sasha and Bianca being over this, right? But because I could see it, because the emotion there was still similar.
Yeah.
But if you ask me today, tomorrow, December 31st, I'm gonna tell you it's this fucking match. And I mean, I don't know. We could see something better, I guess, but like the bar for me for pro wrestling has been set so low that it's like this just fucking like I would have enjoyed this match 10 years ago. Like this would have been I mean obviously Darby Allin would have been like a fucking kid, right? But like I 10 years ago I would have watched this exact same match and I would have been just as excited if not more than I am about it right now because I wouldn't have been completely ruined by professional wrestling. But I loved this match. I might watch it again.
I'm gonna watch it again right after we finish recording this.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it 3 times, and like I said, I might watch it again. I can't tell you when the last time I watched a match more than twice was.
No, I can't even remember you telling me a match like that.
I watched Sasha and Bianca twice, and that's it for this entire year, I think. And then this one I've watched 3 times, and I'll watch it again. Like it was so good. I mean, I just and it just like I said, it gave me Rock and Hogan vibes. Except the match itself was better. Uh, and that's the thing too. We talked about earlier, like about all these signings coming in and how the bar is being raised. It's like, okay, yeah, I like Jungle Boy, but could he have this match? No. I like
Right now he couldn't.
no, I like Chuck Taylor. I like Wheeler Yuta. Could they have this match? No. Wheeler Yuta's a great fucking talent, by the way. Could he have this match though? No. Not if we're being honest with ourselves.
No.
I think there's very few people in the company right now that could do this. Could Adam Cole have this match? Yes.
Obviously.
I mean, could Bryan Danielson have this match? Yes. Kenny? I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. Christian Cage? Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, could either one of these guys have carried Kenny Omega to a similar match? Yes, I think they could. But I do not think that he is on the level of either one of these guys or either one of the people I just named.
Oh, so you must have checked out a certain magazine edition.
All right, so we already agree we're gonna skip over the Paul White QT Marshall match. There's not a lot to say about it. It was what it was. I enjoyed it actually. I enjoyed it for what it was.
It was what it needed to be.
It was a very nice cool down between that and the main event. And honestly, I think Christian and Kenny kind of knew that they were gonna have to follow that fucking, Punk and Darby Allin match, and they didn't want to get Triple H and Randy Orton from 25.
Yeah.
And they didn't. The crowd was tired. You could tell they were tired, but they were still in it. So let's talk about PWI. Kenny Omega should be in the #1 spot. Absolutely. How could he not be?
Really?
Well, what you have to understand is that the PWI 500 is a work.
Oh, well, yeah.
And from a work perspective, how could he not be? He held the AEW championship, the AAA title, and the fucking Impact title. And I think there was another one too.
No, I don't think so.
But, I mean, the man held 3 of the most prestigious titles in the world at the same time.
Yes.
From a work perspective, how could he not be the #1 guy? I mean, #2 is Roman Reigns. And, I mean, once again, you gotta remember, looking at that list, that the list is a work. It's not a shoot list of who the best 500 wrestlers in the world are. If it's a fucking shoot list, I don't. If I made the fucking Kitchens 500, fucking Kenny Omega's not in the top 50 if it's a shoot list. But if it's a work list, which it is, then Kenny Omega's in the number one spot because how could he fucking not be? Who had a better 2021 from a worked perspective than the belt collector?
Yeah.
And I had somebody else ask me that question. You know, knowing that I fucking hate Kenny Omega, and I do, but like, and I thought he looked like a fucking buffoon in this match for Christian Cage. Him missing that fucking spot on the guardrail and landing on his ass, I'm like, that's your world champion? I mean, he looked like a fucking idiot. And I just, I don't know. I don't think he's the guy, and I think he knows probably that his time as the guy is. Every time they bring somebody in, it's like Kenny kind of loses a little bit of his spot.
Well, we'll see. But, him aside, though, Christian Cage, amazing.
Dude, for his age, how is he still that good?
After being off for that long with concussions.
The man has literally pulled a Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
He was good. He left for a long fucking time. He came back and he's better. The man is in his prime right now. He wasn't in his prime when he was, facing Alberto Del Rio for the championship. The man's in his prime right now. And here's the thing, dude.
He wasn't even in his prime in TNA.
Right. And you got to know, you got to understand. You look at what Kenny Omega was doing before he got in the feud with Christian Cage. Now you look at Kenny Omega, what he's done with Christian Cage, he's clearly better. Like, Cage is making him, like, he is learning from Christian Cage, and Christian Cage is making him a better performer.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see if he carries it past that. But here's the thing, man. It is, obviously they're setting up a match with him and Bryan Danielson.
Oh, yeah. Because Bryan Danielson wants to work with him. He likes Kenny Omega.
I don't know if I like the fact that they're going to go straight into that. It feels like, but either way, like, I think an unhinged Bryan Danielson could be something we're not even prepared for, like, in a good way. Because here's the thing: is say what you want about WWE, but WWE has taught him how to be on television, how to work an audience, just how to perform. I mean, the thing is, you can go on the indies and you can perform in front of hundreds or you can perform in front of thousands, but in WWE, especially when you're in a main event guy, you learn how to perform in front of 80,000 people.
Yeah.
You learn how to perform on television. You know how to work the cameras and stuff like that, and you learn how to pace the match for telling the story to both a live and a television audience. These are things that Bryan Danielson can teach without the bad shit that comes with WWE, right? These are things that he knows how to do, that Punk knows how to do, Adam Cole he's fucking amazing. But, I liked this match. I don't think it was as good as their Rampage match.
I'll agree with that, but I'll be honest. I remember the matchup a little bit, but what happened afterwards, that was all I could think about.
Man, okay, so when the Elite's in the ring and Adam Cole's music hits, I lost my shit.
Yeah.
Lost it. 100% just lost it. Because, like, I was expecting Bryan Danielson.
Yep.
I was not expecting Adam Cole, like, that fast.
No, I was very surprised, too, at how fast that came out.
And I really wasn't expecting to get them both at the same time. Like, that was just brilliant.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was tremendous. And here's the thing. I read some people online were just like, well, why is he just going all of a sudden into the elite and being a heel like that? And I was like, he's always been a heel. Adam Cole is not a face. He is literally a piece of shit at times,
He
but it
was
doesn't matter.
he was never a heel. Yeah, I mean, he was never a face in WWE. Like in NXT, he was a heel for his entire fucking run,
He
but
was
no
a
one
heel.
cares.
Exactly. In Ring of Honor, when he was Ring of Honor champion, he was not a face. The minute he won that belt, he turned heel and didn't matter.
And
Did not matter.
and that's the thing, man. It's like here's dude, Adam Cole. Adam Cole is so good. Like, once upon a time, I kind of had like, so Shawn Michaels was kind of like the, I don't want to say mentor because they didn't have this relationship, but he was like the idol to Chris Jericho, right? And so Chris Jericho sort of fell in line behind Shawn Michaels as like that guy who can transcend generations.
Yeah.
And I once thought that the next person that was going to do that behind Jericho was Johnny Gargano because I got that vibe from him. But I was wrong.
Nope.
It's Adam Cole.
Yep.
Because Adam Cole, other than the fact that he was, wasn't born to be a 6'6" guy, everything about him is pro wrestling.
Yep.
Like he's I he's just good, right? Like the guy is a star, and even Vince McMahon knows it because Vince tried real hard. Vince tried harder to keep Adam Cole than he tried to keep Bryan Danielson. And
Yes.
that should tell you a fucking lot. I mean, granted, I hope that Bryan Danielson is in good enough shape where he's not going to get hurt and he's going to protect himself. Because that's what I worry about. But dude, Adam Cole, man.
You ain't
Adam
got.
Cole doesn't have those miles on him. The dude's fresh and he's ready.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's why, like, I'm just like, man, Kenny. When Adam Cole gets thrown into that mix, you're done.
Oh yeah, because he's unquestionably like, I mean, he's the
He's more
best.
popular than the elite themselves.
He is. He's. I mean, it was even clear on Dynamite, dude. They all came out together, and they got an okay reaction. And then they brought Adam Cole out of his own entrance, and they went ape shit for him.
Yeah, and what'd you think of his little? If you look at Britt Baker the wrong way,
That shit was funny.
I was just like, I mean, we know like he ain't gonna do shit to Tony. Tony's harmless, but
Yeah,
Tony likes to play that perverted old man for whatever reason.
yeah. That whole thing is interesting, but yeah, I loved the end of this. I thought that they couldn't have done it any better. Um, like I said, the only thing I would have done is maybe cut the length off of some of this stuff because if I had been watching this live, dude, I mean, I think this thing lasted like 4 hours or something.
Yeah,
Um, and maybe we didn't need that casino battle royale match. Um, but
try
like
to
I
put
said,
yeah.
yeah, and it was originally supposed to be, dude. You think about how good this pay per view was. Imagine if fucking Pac and Andrade had been on it.
Yeah, but they weren't able to do that because of travel
Yep,
issues.
travel restrictions, and they're gonna do it on Rampage now, which I think is kind of good because it'll give that match its own spotlight.
Yeah,
I think it would have got lost on this pay per view, but honestly, like, had it been on this show, I think that it would have. I mean, it's hard to imagine bringing the crowd up any further than they were. So I don't know, man. I don't know if is there a point when it's too much. Um, I don't know because I think that match is a show stealer.
so yeah, I agree. But I would like to say this, right? Because we just talked about the end of the show. All right. So everyone's going to wonder what the fallout is and everything like that. And obviously, we just had Dynamite, the fallout. They've already had the views for Dynamite 1.3 million.
Jesus, man.
1.3 million for that Dynamite. Now, do you want further proof that AEW is on fire. I'm not sure if I said this at the top of the show. I know that we were talking about it off air. So if I did say it already, I apologize. But if you want further proof as to how much on fire AEW is, all right, I was at the Beartooth show and I was wearing my AEW hat. I got stopped by people I have never met before in my life. Do not know that they are wrestling fans, anything. They were all saying how much they are watching AEW right now. Everyone was just like, nice shirt. Like everyone was like would do AEW to me and everything. I was like, this is at a Beartooth show. This is not at a wrestling show. Like obviously rock and metal go hand in hand with wrestling a lot, but I mean you think about that. We were not saying that like we as much as they say the independents are on fire and everything like that, you don't have people at concerts coming up to you with, when you're wearing a Ring of Honor shirt or something like that and be like ROH or MLW or hell, even New Japan. I was there. They were all like saying how much they love AEW right now. So AEW is on fire.
It's momentum, and the thing is, it's theirs to lose because WWE is not doing anything.
Yeah.
And WWE hasn't been cool for a very long time. As much as people are like grasping onto it, hoping that it will be. Like Vince McMahon had and even Triple H to an extent have no idea what like society today wants out of a wrestling product. They just don't. And the thing is, like that's not shocking because Vince is what, like a 70-something-year-old man, and he's completely out of touch. But I think Tony Khan has his finger on the button to a certain extent. And AEW, like I've said, it's cool. I was at Dragon Con, which I mean, granted, Dragon Con is going to be one of those things where it's a little more, likely to have an AEW fan at it because there's a wrestling show. And I mean, shit, they had 600 people at the wrestling show, and more people lined up that couldn't get in. I went backstage a little bit and talked with some of the wrestlers and everything. Xavier Woods was there.
Oh wow.
He's always there every year. He was in a Wario costume, but it was mask mandated, so he had like the pull up thing here, so he just had his eyes showing, but everybody fucking knew who it was, and a lot of people were like acknowledging him and stuff. He was popping real hard for Sean and Wade's match, which was cool as hell.
I knew he'd love that.
Yeah, and I mean, he was there just kind of hanging out with everybody. But when we went to the DDP panel, dude, there were a lot of questions about AEW. And you're talking about a room with like 300 people in it that, everybody's like paying attention to AEW. And that was a lot of that discussion, man. He talked about AEW for a while. And he talked about the fact that he doesn't want to be under contract with them because, he wants to be for Cody to be able to talk to him and for him to give him a legitimate answer, his legitimate opinion, without him being on the payroll. Because when you're on the payroll, there's only so negative you really can be.
Yeah.
And only so honest you really can be. And so I thought that was a cool relationship that they kind of had there. So, yeah, I saw a lot of hats and shirts and everything at Dragon Con. And, in the Southeast, dude, Dragon Con is like a big deal. There was, this was a, limited attendance pandemic era con, and there were still 50,000 people there.
Yeah.
Down from their usual 85,000. You think about that. That's bigger than either of the Comic Cons. It's bigger than New York Comic Con. It's bigger than San Diego Comic Con. It's a huge deal. And so for there to be a big presence there, granted, like I said, there was some wrestling themed stuff there, so it makes sense that there'd be wrestling fans there.
Yeah.
But I saw almost nobody wearing like current WWE merch.
Nope.
You never see anybody anymore wearing WWE merchandise. Like the actual logo. You remember back in the day you used to see WWF and even WWE like shirts and hats and shit. You don't ever see anybody wearing that shit anymore.
Well, the only thing that I see people come close to is literally Stone Cold Steve Austin merchandise.
Yep, or you'll see like classic NWO stuff.
Yeah, yeah, obviously that sort of stuff. But again, I mean, Dragon Con, because they have the Dragon Con wrestling thing as well. So that obviously will go hand in hand. But I'm telling you, at the Beartooth Wage War show, that was where I was like, holy shit, AEW is on fire right now. Because I mean, I must have got stopped by like 50 different people, including for on this podcast, including Ziggy Dice.
Yeah, man, that's a cool, very cool thing to happen. He's a cool guy. And speaking of, I think this is a good time for us to actually give a little shout out to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast guys. They are having their 5th anniversary. The show is not this coming weekend, but next weekend, the 17th. Hell freezes over. If you're anywhere in Georgia, check that out because it is going to be a cool show. There's like I can't name the last time this has been done in Georgia. It may have never been done, but like 15 different promotions have come together and are going to be represented at this event, and it's just a cool thing, man. There's a lot of stuff that's going into this. It's just really great. So
That's awesome.
yeah, man, I'm telling you, this is going to be a big deal. And I'm really happy for those guys that they're going to get to put it on. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately, because I'm going to be at the beach and had already booked it. If I wasn't going to be at the beach, there is nothing that would keep me from being there, other than maybe COVID-19. But that being said, it's going to be a great show. Check it out. I'm hyped to watch it after the fact. Um, but it's going to be great. But that being said, we won't be recording next week.
No.
When we come back, we said that we were going to do the top 10 sins of Vince McMahon. We've been teasing this episode for forever. We actually came up with the list a few weeks ago. We kind of narrowed it down, but Dark Side of the Ring is about to come back,
Yep.
and we're going to have to do those in a timely fashion. So hey, it is what it is, but we will get that episode done. I promise. If anything, this just gives us more time to sort of expand upon the list that we have and sort of, iron it out a little bit more and fill
Yes.
in some of the blanks. So
Yeah,
here we are.
man.
Well, before we wrap up, man, is there anything else you want to say about All Out?
Dude, just I just was so glad to sit there and watch it as a fan, man. Like it reminded me back in the old days, being a wrestling fan, man. It just pro wrestling is back finally. Like it's so good to see another company sell out an arena like that and put on a pay-per-view like that, and it wasn't WWE and stuff. So like it was amazing. I'm so excited for the future. I know we could go into, who's gonna, go, who's gonna stay or anything like that. But here's what's the interesting part that we haven't even gotten to, which is they just had those signings. Now I'm hearing even more signings. And one where I was just like, I threw up my hands. I'm like, if they get this person, WWE is just they're going to be in trouble. And that's I heard Kevin Owens, which of course, if he goes to AEW, he would be Kevin Steen again, and he is best friends with the Young Bucks and Adam Cole.
Yeah, I think we get Steen next year.
I think
Um, I'm not I'm not sure we still want El Generico, but maybe.
he's one.
Yeah. The rumor is that his contract is going to be up.
Well, what about here's one that I'm curious about. There's two that I'm curious about, if any. Nakamura and Balor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think uh, honestly, man, Sami Zayn has been run into the ground by WWE, so I don't know if we get El Generico or what, but I thought Nakamura just re-signed.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on, we can find this out.
I really don't know. I figured he wouldn't sign, and I didn't think he was going to go back. I didn't think he was going to go to AEW or anything. I thought he was legit just going to go back to Japan.
Yeah, I think he just re-signed. Let's see. Yeah, I think I read something about that recently. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure he just re-signed pretty recently. So
Well,
I
either way, man, I'm so excited right now about pro wrestling. I haven't been able to say that in a long time. Last year, with the combined dark side of the ring, the combined pandemic and stuff like that, it really took a toll on my wrestling fandom. It really did. I couldn't watch wrestling. The man who consumes more wrestling content than any of you, I couldn't do it. I legit could not do it. I couldn't even do old stuff. I was like, it's just it's not the same right now. And then just watching that pay-per-view, I was like, and seeing the reaction to it. It was again the reaction to the whole thing. It was kind of like and I mentioned this to you before. It reminded me of when I saw Infinity Wars and I walked out of that movie thinking, I cannot critique this movie because right now I'm feeling something and I don't know how to feel about it, kind of thing. And like I felt something watching that. Same thing watching this. I felt something at the end. Like it was pure joy. It just amazing. The CM Punk versus Darby Allin matchup. I'm gonna go watch that shit again because that match alone was worth all out in and of itself. The Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks matchup. I love that matchup. I liked Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage because I like both of them and stuff like that. And it was just amazing, dude. I love it, and I echo. I'm gonna end my thing on this note. I'm gonna say the words that a very wise man at that broadcast table said, and that was, "God, I love pro wrestling."
absolutely. Update on the Nakamura thing. So there were reports he had signed a new deal like 2 weeks ago. Apparently, Nakamura has come out and said that those reports are not true. So he is on the table. I think he's probably going to go back to Japan. I don't know. I
I
don't
think
know. I don't know if I want to see him in AEW or not. Just saying.
I want
Uh,
to see him in Japan again.
yeah, I don't think they should get everyone. Just being honest. That being said, there's a lot of excitement going on. I was excited to watch Dynamite. Um, I'm with you there. This pay per view kind of it felt like the old days. It felt like watching like a WCW pay per view back in the day. Like it felt like an event. It was fun. There was an incredible energy, and that energy was it was contagious. Like it was just such an awesome thing, and I'm excited to see what AEW does going forward. And I haven't been excited about wrestling like that in a long time.
And you
Um,
ain't been excited about AEW either.
yeah, for the most part, not really at all. Every time I get excited about AEW, they just shit all over me. So this time they didn't. This time they really cashed in. They really pulled through, and like I said, even though I had some minor complaints here and there, this is the best pay per view I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
So
no
that
doubt.
being said, Caleb, man, thank you for joining me for this. I know we squeezed this one in at the final hour here. It's like 2 a.m. as we're recording this.
I am
Um,
surprised I'm able to talk still.
hey, man, but we did it, and that's what it's about. And that being said, this has been an Involved Review.